Is if you did that for your favourite sport and then said, right, if that's what it is for my favourite sport, what would it look like for my sales team?
I've got Dean Kelly with me again, the deal mechanic. Welcome back, Dean.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me.
Hey, last time you raised some very interesting things that sales managers should ask the salesperson rather than when's the deal coming in, what's the size of the deal, the questions that will help the salesperson focus on the customer. That led me to thinking I'd like to ask you more about how you think sales managers should be better coaches. What are the sorts of things sales managers should focus on and do to demonstrate they are great coaches?
This is a tough question because in the last probably 20 years, I believe there's been a big shift in sales management because we've started focusing with CRMs and with IT solutions in particular that almost sell themselves onto the results rather than the process to get to the results. So one of the things managers can do is focus on the inputs rather than focusing on the outputs or the results.
When are we going to get the order is an output.
So
how much revenue is there is an output.
Exactly. And if I do all the things in the front well, the outcome is inevitable. We'll get a deal. If I qualify well up front, the deal will happen. If I do the right things and I create the conversation and the differentiation and the credit, the capture, the create the value for the client in their mind, then it's highly likely I'll be differentiated when I get to the end. So it's about focusing on what are the things as a manager you need that are critical inputs or leading or leaning indicators that are going to deliver the outcome. Now, the easy analogy for this is on the sports field. So
the coach on a sports
the coach of a sports team. So whether it's American football or it's English soccer or European soccer football or it's even rugby or football down here, just think of how you'd break up those measures and those metrics when you watch your team play. So in American football, they talk about completed passes. Because if I do completed passes, I make yards. If I do yards, I get first downs. If I get first downs, I'm making territory. I'll get opportunity. In football, or as in English soccer and the like, it's about possession. If I have possession and more passes, I'll move up the field. I'll have shots on goal. So leading indicators would be how many free kicks in the attacking half or how many attacking corners I get. It's how many shots on goal. They're all leading indicators that mean the result is more likely. Rugby works the same way. So to me, one of the things managers can do is balance their focus because they're never going to take their eye off the results. I get that. But they've got to balance that saying, what are the inputs that drive those results?
And coaching and driving the activity on those inputs and then the qualification of those, the evaluation of how well you're doing it and the assistance to do that better.
Can I say this? You're opening up a big can of worms here because this is a bigger topic than just a few minutes. Has anyone defined what good looks like? Right, what does a good meeting look like? Has anyone defined it? Can you coach your team to what a good meeting looks like? On the sports field, it's a lot easier, but in the business sense, what is a good meeting? Because once you define what good looks like, you can actually coach to it. But so many companies have never defined that. And so many managers don't do ride-alongs enough to watch their people to coach them on being better. They're sitting at home or sitting in the office waiting for the result. How did you go at that meeting today?
It's like a sports coach sitting back in the office and not being there during training and not being there at the game.
No, and then coaching you on Monday when they read the paper and go, "Oh, you lost." Well, what do you think went wrong? Why did you? I mean, it's if we introduced ourselves as that sports coach, people would go, "You're crazy. No wonder your team's losing."
I don't want to be too derogatory about sales managers because I think a lot do it very well, but there's a lot that don't, and hopefully this message can be very valuable for those.
Well, as a simple task, just write down for your favourite sport. What are the leading indicators? What leaning indicators result from those? And then what lagging indicators? And then said, right, if that's what it is for my favourite sport, what would it look like for my sales team? It's meetings, it's quality of meetings, it's what do we get out of the meetings? Do we get an advance rather than a continuation? Because that's a leading indicator of the client actually buying into moving the deal forward. So simple things like that can make a profound difference in velocity through the pipe, through the stages of your pipeline. It's so much is based on the leading indicators that drive lagging.
Great advice. I know, having been a sales coach for most of my life, I've really struggled sometimes to really coach well, and bit by bit we've had to learn on the job. And I think more and more we've got to help sales leaders, sales managers, learn a lot, not just on the job, but through good coaching and training from people like yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.